Hi, and welcome to the Competent Benefits Manager module on planning benefits and all that entails. Right, a quick reminder about where we are in the process. You've set up your management context, you've got your strategy, governance, and all that sort of stuff working. We've gone through the identification of benefits, a nice long list. And in the last video, we talked about profiling benefits, and in particular, categorization, risk, linking them together in the benefits maps, and do they pass the dome test. So in this module, we're still part of the third stage of the process. I just want to talk a little bit about things to consider when you're planning for benefits. So we've got to think about the following: alignment to project delivery, because the projects are delivering the blueprint and the capability. We have to think about the outcomes and the benefits. We've mentioned on a few occasions stakeholders. What impacts it having on them? What timelines can we work to? What dependencies do we have to deal with? And what is the capacity of the organisation to cope with change? If this program is running while the world's still continuing, then there could be lots of other stuff going on that's distracting from the change that you need to deliver the benefits. What about other initiatives? Are we having to contend for resources? Is that going to change our timescale? Are they arriving in the operational or whatever area, the manufacturing areas at the same time? Are they taking the resources that we need? And are the risks to the benefits that we identified in profiling increasing or reducing? Or are there new opportunities that we need to bring on board? And of course, when we're planning for benefits, we've just got to think about the whole change picture if we want to capture it in one sentence. So MSP gives us a really good three-stage approach that we should consider. We have pre-transition, which is the build up to the change. We have the management of the transition, and then we have the management of post-transition, which is when the benefits occur. Now, within a program, pre-transition starts from the moment you write down your program brief and say, these are the benefits we're going after. Because once those benefits profiles start to arrive, we've already done some measurement. We've already decided how we'll monitor the performance. Now, all these things can be changing in the build up to the actual transition. We may find that the foundations for the business case start to move because of external factors. All these things are part of pre-transition, monitoring where we're going. Are our benefits still viable? Obviously, there's also the business change stuff to think about with communicating change, getting everybody ready for what's coming, in the assessing readiness stuff. But really, this pre-transition can go on for a long time. If we think about something like High Speed 2 in the UK, pre-transition for that is like 15 years. All right, the transition only happens once those trains start to go live. Then we manage the transition. Yeah, we have to initiate it. The moment we say readiness to go, we fire the starting pistol and off we go. We put the additional support in, and that we do the transition, put the new systems in, the new facilities up and running. We review it, and then we finish transition stage when the outcome's there. Has this thing landed? Is it stable? Is the organization working? Now that, in many scenarios, is when the program declares victory, because the benefits are probably still not there. The problem is there's a cost to keeping the program in place, pursuing the post-transition. All right, because post-transition, measuring benefits, really important, decommissioning the old systems, getting rid of the old ways of working. That's not just a tool or a fact or some sort of production facility. This is about changing people's hearts and minds, yeah, establishing the new culture, responding to changes, and monitoring and reporting this. One of the greatest examples of decommissioning old systems was that image of when the Vikings landed in the UK thousands of years ago. They burnt the longboats, because if there was ever a clear message that is, ladies and gentlemen, we're staying, burning the boat and the way of going back was it. So a lot of this is around symbolism of ending the old ways. So when we're thinking about our benefits plan, we've got to think about those three stages, and particularly that last stage. Who's going to be responsible for this? The organisation will want to run down that program. So what's the energy and desire that's going to make those benefits and all those changes stick? So first of all, let's think about benefits and program planning. Program planning is all about delivering a new state. So in those little quadrants, what we're using there is the POTI model: process, organization, tools and technology, and management information. So the as-is state is where we are today in 2020. Yep. So what have we got there? What process? How does our organization work? And then what's it going to be like in 2030? Well, let's just talk about 2030 is a big date for carbon emissions. So the carbon emissions where we are today in 2020 look like this. Yep. So our processes and operating model and assets are a mix of carbon friendly things, as the wind turbines are increasing solar energy, etc., etc. But we still got a mix in there of gas and coal. There's talk about new nuclear power stations coming on stream. So if we look, so by 2025, what will we have? Well, we'll have no doubt less gas-fired coal stations. We will have new nuclear capability coming on board, less but more powerful, and we will have more wind turbines without a doubt. We will have more solar energy. We've got electric cars, got all sorts of stuff coming on that by 2025 will be there. Now, that will be a step change on the way, what MSP calls an intermediate benefit. But we will be achieving outcomes as we're going along. There isn't a day when suddenly all the wind turbines have changed. So we incrementally improve. So between, say, 2020 and 2025, there's a whole load of projects going through. They're going to increase this capacity, more charging points for electric cars, all that stuff. By 2025, we'll be able to say, this will be our new status. This is where we will be. And then we've got the capability, we start to use it. In fact, if we take cars, electric cars in 2020, they're starting to appear, but there's issues with their ability to travel and all that kind of stuff. By 2025, we expect that to be disappearing. The capability will be there. The projects will deliver the capability. We adopt it. We'll have new outcomes. Yeah, maybe 20% of cars will be electric by then, or whatever it happens to be. Maybe 80% of electricity generation by then will be from renewable sources. And then we move on to 2030 when we're a carbon neutral. But you see the benefits are incrementing all the way along. So the program plan is building capability, but it also has to deal with this benefits release and transition stuff. All right. So whatever your program is, that building capability, releasing it, moving to outcomes, releasing benefits. So after 2025, it's only after that we'll see the benefits of the capability that we built between 2020 and 2025. Okay, but I mean, these are in this diagram, it's kind of showing hard changes, but it's really incremental all the way along. So the benefits release needs to follow in some way the program plan. As with project milestones, we need to have benefits milestones. These are points where an amount of benefit is going to be released, whether that's a financial saving that's returned to the corporate center, maybe it's a performance benefit or a social benefit, but we need to be able to say at this point, after those projects have been delivered, the program capabilities arrived, this is a milestone when we will deliver significant benefit back. So to create and manage these milestones, we need to think about the trigger events. What things will have to have happened? Normally it's benefit stuff, but also we need to think about the stuff going on in the business. We'll need to have delivered training. We'll need to have delivered maybe a new layout of a building, all those other things. Lots of trigger events will come together. We tend to use the term capability or outcomes for those that will release the benefit, but it could be numerous outcomes, as we show in the benefits maps. Then we need to be clear for this milestone. Who's going to deliver it? Where does that ownership, remember the word attribution in the Doan test, and what's its value going to be? That's the measurement from the Doan test, and the date, of course, because if it doesn't got a date, it's not a milestone. All right, so that's actually how benefits milestones work, and we need to build these. This is what the business change team are looking at doing in any program. Over the life cycle of any benefit, we need to deliver some performance change. So we have to remember that at the moment we go live, that doesn't mean this with whatever the new facility is, it doesn't mean that we've got the benefit. And so what we're seeing in this graph is you need to think about the projections on performance. How many times have you heard stories of the news where a hospital was built or some new system was promised and it goes in and suddenly everybody's really disappointed? Yeah, and so, well, you promised this, that, and the other. Actually, what we need to do is predict this performance accurately. And so a graph like the one you can see in front of you. So we can see that the green line is the normal performance. And that's what would happen if we did nothing. And then we go through transition. Yeah, and the yellow line is the prediction of steady improvement as we go forward. And then we've got the red line. And what we see is during transition, great jumping around, really poor performance at the start while people are getting used to the new system. Then suddenly you have a peak, it looks great, then it goes down again, then it's up again. What you're looking for is that stabilization at the higher performance. So as part of your business change planning and your benefits planning, you need to predict the downsides as well as the upsides. In effect, you're managing expectations. Okay, I think that's all we've got to say. So planning, you've got a bit of an overview. It's entirely linked to the program plan. MSP calls it the benefits realization plan, runs alongside your project plans and the program plans to deliver the outcome and all the other plans. But it is specific, and each benefit needs to have its own plan with milestones built into a bigger plan that covers all the change activities that are needed. So I hope that proves to be useful. I hope that you find an opportunity to deploy that knowledge in the exercises, and hopefully the materials that we're going to provide you in the course enriching your knowledge further. As we always say, time for a cup of coffee at this moment.